Invincible Season 2 just wrapped up, and you can tell by my face I'm glowing. I really liked it. Invincible remains a must watch television series, even if you're not the biggest fan of animation, which I don't know how you couldn't be. I think that's a very close minded approach to life, and you make me sick. You're a coward. That was supposed to be me just mimicking spitting on you, but I actually just hawked a whole loogie on my desk. But that's how disgusting I find that thought process. Animation is a beautiful medium for storytelling, and Invincible tells an incredible story with wonderful action. Hold on, I gotta clean that. As you can tell, I'm gushing grannies for Invincible. Season 1 really caught me by surprise because I initially wrote the show off as being some kind of like children's superhero show to compete with Marvel and DC. I knew nothing about Invincible, except for Season 1's shock ending on Episode 1 that caught the entire internet by surprise, myself included. And once I saw that clip, and I think I saw it around like Episode 3 or 4 of the show's run, I was hooked. When Omni-Man slaughters the Guardians, it is brutal. Like, it is still one of the more brutal things I've seen in a cartoon to this day. And that really set the tone for the whole show. It's very unique. And I know there's like a bunch of other superhero shows that don't necessarily follow Marvel and DC formula anymore. Like you have The Boys and all of that, which I do still think is great. But Invincible is different from The Boys as well. It also carves out its own identity in this superhero genre, and it's just such a compelling story with great characters, tight writing, and I just love everything about it. So Season 2, I was extremely excited for, obviously. And it got off to a great start, and then it shot itself in the foot. It took like a 3 or 4 month break. It went on hiatus to divide the season in half, so there was a part 1 and part 2 of Season 2, which I just think is a silly idea. Just, if there's a production hiccup, just wait. It's better to just delay it and then release it on that schedule without this huge gap in between, as opposed to break it in half, like separate it like my fucking butt cheeks here from part 1 and 2. There's no reason for that. Like, all it does is take the wind out of its sails. I made a whole video whining about it, but it really was upsetting. It just makes it so people either forget about it, lose interest, or never even know when the next part's rolling around, which we saw a lot of when that happened. But anyway, setting aside that blunder, the season itself is extraordinary. It's another absolute banger. This season introduces so many new moving parts, and it elevates a lot of things that were hinted about earlier and brings them to the front and center here. So like even something as simple as the Lizard League, which sounds like a joke of a villain organization. It sounds like SpongeBob with every villain is Lemon's evil. But here, they are far from a joke. When Lizard League shows up in Season 2, they do so in a big way. They fight Rexplode, Duplicate, and Shrinking Ray, and it is gruesome. Like there is another scene that went viral here, kind of in the same way that Episode 1 did for Season 1, where one of the Lizard League's big boys, Komodo, swallows Shrinking Ray whole, and when she tries to like go back to big size, kind of like you remember the entire Ant-Man and Thanos butthole theory, where if Ant-Man had gone inside of Thanos' anus and then like quadrupled in size, just went fucking Wumbo mode, it would have instantly killed Thanos and Ant-Man would have soloed. Well, Invincible tackles that. So Shrinking Ray goes inside Komodo, he swallows her, and then Rexplode's like, that's checkmate, Buster. You absolute fool. She doesn't stay small. So Shrinking Ray then goes back to full size, but Komodo is so strong that when she goes to full size, he like bites down, bears it, and like blows her up inside of him, and then spits up a blood bubble and says, yum. It was incredible. Like that, I didn't see that coming, and it blew me away. It's incredible how this show still manages to produce like pretty shocking moments of gore and violence in the medium. But it's more than just that. Like I said, the action is great. Like I really do love Invincible's action. It's very dynamic, it's very fun, it's very creative. But it is a lot more than that. It writes an incredible story with really grounded characters. So even someone like Rexplode, who in Season 1's just this giant fucking douchebag, well, Season 2, he's got a lot of character development. Like, he's going through a lot. He's starting to come to terms with, like, why am I such an asshole? Why do I suck shit? He starts to really grow. And they make him so much more badass here. Like, he wasn't super likable in Season 1 by design. He's supposed to be an abrasive, callous asshole. But in Season 2, he's like really cool as well. So in this Lizard League attack that I keep referencing, the Guardians get slapped. They get absolutely disciplined. The Lizard League takes them over their knee and just spanks their bottom. And it ends with Rexplosion getting shot in the head. and you think he's dead. He falls over, like half of his brain has been blown out, but then he stands up laughing maniacally. He's like a zombie. Like he's powered by nothing but just raw anger for being shot in the fucking head. So then he's like, "You shot me in the head. You blew out my goddamn noggin." So then he starts annihilating the last member of the Lizard Squad who shot him, and it is so cool. And then from that experience is when he starts to like really look introspectively and start to like take accountability for a lot of his past actions and show regret. It then comes to, it tackles how he deals with like moving forward, how he starts to like drown himself in missions even though he's not quite ready, but just to get his mind right. And that's when we lead into Invincible and how he's dealing with the fallout from everything that happened at the end of Season 1 with his dad, Omni-Man. A lot of Season 2 is dedicated to Mark's mother, Debbie, as well as Mark, and them kind of coping with what's happened with Omni-Man vanishing and all of this. They feel guilty for missing him. It's just very confusing, all of these emotions. And we get to see Omni-Man come back in here. Omni-Man does play a big role in Season 2 as well, thankfully, because I think he's a really interesting character. And he is great in Season 2. He's no longer just this fucking force of nature that blows everyone to smithereens. He still does that, of course, it's fucking Omni-Man. But man, you see so much depth to him, and you really get to feel kind of where his headspace is at, where he's grown up as this basically God, and now he's starting to like have all these cracks in his armor where he's starting to feel bad for a lot of the things he did on Earth, and a lot of the things he's done in his past, all of these sins where these lesser beings than him, which he never felt any remorse for, are all starting to hit him at once, and he feels like he deserves to die for it. And it's, I don't know, the way they play with that is super interesting, and you don't see that a lot. They spend a good chunk of time just letting you marinate on this new Omni-Man who's starting to feel like a human, which makes him feel like shit, because he's more than human. The way they handle it, I think, is just really, really good. I'm trying not to spoil too much. I'm trying not to get into, like, big spoilers, though I do recognize by talking about the Lizard League, I did drop some spoilers cold turkey here, so I'm sorry about that. But those are minor spoilers in the grand scheme of things for Season 2, because there's so much here. Like I said, this is a big season with a lot of big stuff to it. Season 1 felt like it was all about how Earth would possibly fight back against Omni-Man, this incomprehensibly powerful being, and the gap between us and him is just insurmountable. We'd be useless. It'd be trying to put a toddler against a dragon. What do you do? And that was kind of Season 1, going mainly through the lens of Omni-Man is bad, how the fuck can we possibly stop him? Season 2 is the Viltrumites are bad, how the fuck can the universe possibly stop them? So we're introduced to a lot of new races, a lot of new planets, the Coalition, which is fighting back against the Viltrumites, always trying to strategize on how to possibly beat them. There's just a lot, and now we're getting into like the very big picture of this universe of Invincible, and it is glorious. I think it is so good. Alan, who we saw briefly in Season 1, plays a pretty big role in Season 2. Dude's been on creatine and alpha brain, so he's bigger, badder than ever. He's absolutely fucking turbocharged. But obviously, the star of Season 2 is Mark, Invincible. This is very, very much focused on Mark and everything he's going through with everything that happened in Season 1, as well as just trying to figure out what he wants to be. Does he want to stick with college because that's where Amber is and that's the love of his life? He's always wanted to, go to college, but now he's starting to recognize, like, there is just so much power inside of him that he needs to learn to control. That's, like, the best thing he could possibly do. Like, he can save entire planets. Like, he is so much more than just Mark Grayson. He's invincible, and he's the one that's going to eventually need to do something about the Viltrumites for this planet, because he's probably the only one that can do something about them for Earth. So, I don't know, it's just really, really good. And Mark has a lot of character development throughout Season 2 here. We see a lot of different sides of him, and it's so well done. It is handled beautifully. So, I think Invincible is a must-watch TV show. I really do. Plugging Invincible into the Moist Meter, I'm giving Season 2 another 95%. Same thing I gave Season 1. I love the show. I am a huge fan of it. Hopefully we don't have to wait a couple years for Season 3. It sounds like we won't. It sounds like it'll probably be out next year, which is nice. So yeah, it's something to get excited for. That's about it. See ya.